following controversial remarks made by Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi on Taiwan. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has condemned the comments as erroneous and stated that they have fundamentally damaged the political foundation of Sino-Japanese relations. Spokesperson Mao Ning has urged Japan to retract the remarks and take concrete actions to acknowledge and correct its stance. If Japan refuses to do so and continues to make similar mistakes, according to China, China has warned that it would have no choice but to take stern and resolute countermeasures. Additionally, China has stated that even if Japanese seafood exports were allowed, they would face no market due to the current strained relations. Let's listen in.
据我了解，日方此前承诺履行输华水产品的监管责任，保障产品质量安全，这是日本水产品输华的先决条件。但是日方目前未能提供所承诺的技术材料。我还想强调的是，近期由于日本首相高市早苗倒行逆施，在台湾等重大问题上错误言论，引起中国民众的强烈公愤。当前形势下，即使日本水产品向中国出口，也不会有市场。
Now for this discussion, we welcome Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at Hasina Institute, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Dr. Satoru, for joining us again. Good to see you. Doctor, what more can you tell us about this ongoing situation between Japan and China?
We should remember the remark of the Prime Minister Takaichi. Indeed, she said if China start to invade Taiwan, it could be the crisis for survival of Japan. So in this legal system, Japan will support the U.S. as a ally. And if the U.S. joins the battle in Taiwan, it could be related to the Taiwan crisis. But he did not mention this is the situation she explained honestly, but this is not so provocative. Because this is the war has happened just side of Japan. And it is a crisis for survival for Japan and supporting ally. It's a natural thing. So that's why current issue is China is escalating the situation, but only China is escalating the situation. So Japan side explained just honest and not, after that Japan hasn't done anything, just send the diplomat to explain it. In case of China, China tried to rise up the tension one by one, step by step, and continue to provoke Japan. So this is the situation. Because China wants to escalate the situation, it has escalated. So why China wants to escalate is the matter. Indeed, the reason is came from the pattern of China's diplomacy. When the new government sworn in, every time China tests the capability or skill of this new government. In case of the President Obama, the Chinese ship surrounding the US survey ship and bullying. In case of the President Bush, Chinese fighter jet tried to fly just side of the US recognized plane, and finally they hit it. So this recognized plane, US recognized plane, emergency landing has happened in the Hainan Island, and they are the prisoner at that time. So every time the new US president sworn in, new leadership sworn in, they test it. This time the Japanese Prime Minister sworn in, China want to test it. So this is stress test towards Prime Minister Takaichi. So China is rising the tension, escalate the tension, and checking the reaction of Japan side, and what kind of the person, what kind of the capabilities they have is data China want to collect. So this is the situation China want to escalate. That's why China escalated, and the situation has escalated. So, and what China want to do is collecting the data of the new government of Japan. And until they get enough data, they continue to escalate the situation. So now we are under process, and one by one they are escalating the stress test. That is the situation. This is my analysis. Thank you.
And how long do you think this stress test would last for the Japanese Prime Minister being first female ever Prime Minister and also carrying some kind of some morale from previous government of Abe.
It relies on the data China collected because when China satisfies, anytime China can stop it. Only China escalated situation. Japan hasn't joined this escalation race. So China can control the situation. China looks like upset, we are upset, but this is attitude, this is as an actor. What they want to do is the data they want to get. So enough data they get, it will end. But if they will not get enough data, of course, for a long time they continue to do that. So this is, we should not be the optimistic in this case because data itself is, it is not easy to get in some case. But anyway, the China want to get and the China will get. Until that time, China will continue this escalation.
Right, and to what extent can economic leverage, like the one China is using toward Japan about the traveling restrictions or asking their citizens to halt travel, as these restrictions all have on trade and tourism serve, how do these serve as an effective tool in diplomatic disputes between Japan and China?
Case by case basis, it is different. The most critical part is rare earth, I think. They're not travelers. Travelers' case is Japan do not rely on the Chinese tourists because many countries visit Japan now, and in this case, rely on China is very limited. In case of rare earth, for a long time, Japan rely on China, but compared with other countries, it has improved well. In the world, 90% of the rare earth supply rely on China. But in case of Japan, 60% now, because for last 1 decade, Japan's effort was big and reducing the rely on China, reducing the China reliance. So that's why this has achieved 60%. But still, the 60% Japan rely on China. That is a critical point. So that's why temporarily Japan faced damage in the economically. But in this case, China also faced damage, I think, because they are importing the many parts of the products from Japan. Without this, they cannot make the products, even if they say they are the factory of the world. So that's why if Japan try to reply as a proper response from the China's provocation, in this case, of course, it will be the big damage, the economic damage, not only for China but also the other countries. But at the same time, until now, Japan hasn't replied. This means that China's restriction to restrict Chinese traveler to Japan or something, the limited supply to the rare to Japan, and these are anyway the limited level. So that's why if this level of the economic provocation, of course it will be the very limited damage in the economy. If China escalates more, it will be more bigger damage. But anyway, this is a stress test. This means that China does not lack the will to decouple with Japan, indeed, I think. So that's why this is a stress test, not a real trade war or something we need to know. Thank you.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Dr. Satoru for joining us and sharing that insight. Thank you very much. Now we move on to our next